everyone, and welcome back to Wazoodle Notes, our Cliff's Notes version of our latest blog post. And in today's video, we're going to go over our newest blog titled Zorb, the perfect choices for your Unsponge. Now, when we think of the word sponge, it's pretty simple to claim that the word synonymous with it is absorbent. At least that's what we think of here at Wazoodle. We also kind of think collectively of a pool of water being sucked up into a springing sponge, each droplet going up into the cellulose material and leaving the space underneath perfectly clean. Maybe we're a little too poetic. Never mind. Anyhow, do you share the same thought when you think of the word sponge? Is that what you envision in your head? We know. I think that's pretty much what we all share. But what if that vision changed? What if instead of that classic yellow, pink, green, or blue cellulose or some kind of plastic entity transformed, and instead it reflected your moral center? And that's where the idea of Unsponge enters the scene. And with that comes another word synonymous within our sustainable community for the Unsponge, Zorb. Now, Zorb, it can soak up to 10 times its own weight in liquid in under 2 seconds. It's 20 times faster than any other fiber on the market. That's pretty insane. I mean, just imagine if that was the core of your Unsponge. I mean, think of how absorbent that would be. You would be unstoppable. You would be a viable cleaning machine. It's a possibility. When you first stumble onto the DIY blogs with the how-tos on how to make your very own Unsponge, you might notice that the project seems to be a means to an end of clearing out your scrap fabric drawer. We've seen everything from old t-shirts to flannel to loop terry. We've even come across cotton quilt batting, and then there's those amazing, innovative souls who came up with the idea to use the mesh bags that produce comes in as the scrubby side for their Unsponges. I mean, talk about upcycling. It is the ideal project for upcycling for sure. There's no doubt about it. However, if you take your Unsponge a little more seriously, you might find yourself coming over to our side of the fence and trying out our super products that comprise the line of Zorb fabrics. Okay, so let's say that you've already made an Unsponge or two, and the process went along just fine. You took maybe like 15 minutes to bring your entity to life, and then you eagerly rushed to your kitchen and began scrubbing every single dish you could possibly get your hands on. And it felt really good, and you were happy. But you might have noticed that that happy, tingly sensation was swiftly replaced with what I like to refer to as a bummer state. And the bummer state came a few weeks later when you just as eagerly reached for that Unsponge to clean your plate, and you found a massive wad of cotton just fraying and coming apart at the seams and pieces sticking through the side, and the overall absorbent efficiency completely worn away. And that's a pretty crappy state to exist in. So how can you avoid this? You could invest in the eco-friendly Zorb Original and use that as the core of your Unsponge. Just 2 layers of Zorb Original can replace 8 layers of flannel, 6 layers of French terry, and 5 layers of organic fleece. I mean, that's a lot of layers. Zorb Original is made of a blend of bamboo, cotton, and polyester fibers, which give it its ability to absorb that's nearly magical to watch. And along with its absorbency, it's also durable, it's breathable, and it's quick drying. All ideal properties to have in an Unsponge, which is made to withstand frequent use and lots of washes. So when we first decided to write this blog and create our very own Unsponge to do so, we wanted to recreate what we were finding in other DIY blogs, which was typically a t-shirt material being used for the outer layers. So we decided that the Pro Eco organic cotton interlock that we have would be a great choice. And it would be. But then we really thought about it, and we took inventory of all of our fabrics and all the different constructions that make them up, and which would really be the best cleaning fabric that we had. And we landed on the construction of the loop terry in our Zorb microfiber loop terry fabric. This is our Zorb microfiber loop terry fabric. And as you can see, it has that loop terry construction on both sides and a nice thickness to it. Not much stretch in either direction, but a really nice hand and body. So microfiber is synthetic fabric that's typically made up of polyester and nylon fibers, and it's known for being super absorbent. It can typically take up to 7 times its own weight in liquid. Ours actually goes up to 8, just saying. Anyhow, our microfiber is 100% polyester, and it's actually 20 times faster at absorbing than other fibers like bamboo, cotton, or hemp knits. So this is literally perfect for your atypical gunk, right? So you could use this for cleaning your dishes, you can use it for cleaning your countertops, really any cleaning action that you need to take. This is going to be ideal because the micro loops are perfect for catching that dirt and debris. It's just the ideal cleaning fabric. But what do you do if you have a really tough cleaning situation? Like that gunk is so caked onto that plate, it's going to take a hope and a prayer to get it off. This is where we thought really outside the box, and we racked our brains. And by we, I mean me. I thought and I thought and I thought, and then I was going through our swatches and I stumbled onto something called our Snap Aid Snap Reinforcement Fabric. One second, I'm going to show it to you. So this is our Snap Aid Snap Reinforcement Fabric. And it's 100% polyester as well. And you can see it's a mesh. And it has an acrylic finish to it, which gives it a really stiff body and hand to it. It's very firm and very stabilizing. So this is like literally ideal for getting on those really caked on situations, those really tough stains, getting them off and moving. This is perfect for it. Full disclosure though, we have not tested this out on multiple surfaces. So before you go and scrub down your beautiful granite countertops, please just take one slight second and test an inconspicuous spot and make sure that nothing negative happens, okay? We don't think that it will, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, real talk time. Just me and you. All right, I just want to take 1 second out of the video to connect with you and tell you about the reality that I encountered when I chose to do 4 pieces of Zorb Original for the core of my Unsponge. Okay, so I wrote the blog. I came up with the idea for the Unsponge. I suggested 2 to 4 layers. And I decided to make my own to test it out to make sure everything that I told you guys was correct and that it would work and that the fabrics were the right fabrics and yada, yada, yada. And they were. But here's the thing. I was following an atypical Unsponge tutorial. And they suggested having the construction of the Unsponge, starting with the core layers on the bottom, then putting the scrubby layer with the right side facing up on top of that, and then the absorbent outer shell layer on top of that one with the right side facing down. Then stitch around, leave a 2-inch opening, pop it through, quilt it a few times, and call it a day. Okay, so I tried that with 4 layers. And holy goodness. It was quite the adventure to get that sucker turned right side out. We eventually got it to work. It took 3 of us. We got it turned right side out and it looked fine. It was a little misshapen because of all the twisting and popping and stuff, but it did work. But like I said, it was quite a road to get there. So here's what I suggest you do. 4 is not better than 2 necessarily. The Unsponge is going to work really, really, really well with 2 layers of the Zorb Original. That's what we suggest in the earlier portion of this video. We explain how it's better than flannel and regular cotton fleece and all that kind of stuff. So 2 layers we know works perfectly well. So just do the 2 layers for the core. And then the other thing that we decided, and here's my Unsponge, is we decided to leave one entire side open, and it made it so simple. It took 2 seconds to pop it right side out and then close that side, quilt a few times around, and call it a day, maybe 15 minutes total. Mine's not perfect looking because I rushed it and whatever, but yours will be great. It's just want to take that moment out to tell you the reality and make sure that you don't have as frustrating of a time as I ended up having when I did the 4 layers. So that's all. Thank you so much. And let's get back to the video, okay? So why is having such an absorbent core as well as outer shell so important for the functionality of an Unsponge? It's important for the core to be super absorbent in your Unsponge because it's going to absorb more liquid as well as hold more liquid, which makes it so much more effective at efficiently cleaning up spills and messes. When you press that same sponge to a surface, the absorbent core is going to hold the liquid in and prevent it from smearing the mess around even more. Also, that same absorbent core is going to lock in the liquid, leaving less of it behind on surfaces, which can prevent streaking, as well as potentially save it from water damage. So if you add that function to the construction of the microfiber loop terry fabric, which locks in the dirt and debris, you have an idyllic pairing of function and form. For the ins and outs on how to properly care for your Unsponge, click the link in the description below and head to our actual blog. Once you get there, you'll find everything you need to keep your sponge alive for much longer than you might expect. Also, you'll find our construction suggestions, along with information on how to get your very own Zorb fabric swatches for only $2 a piece. All right, before we wrap up our Zorb adventure into Unsponges, we just want to take a moment to reflect on why it matters that you make an Unsponge to begin with and replace the unsustainable current throwaway version in your home. And the first reason is because that current version is going to end up in the trash, and typically it's not recyclable. And the manufacturing process of synthetic sponges involves extracting and refining petroleum, which, as you know, is a fossil fuel. And then that's processed into creating the plastics that are made into the actual sponge. And that whole process consumes even more energy, which takes even more fossil fuels, such as like coal or natural gas. And then you have to add in each individual product's carbon footprint, which is the amount of miles it takes to travel to reach you. So from China, which is where a lot of our imports come from, to the United States is about 5,000 miles. I mean, just that trip alone has so much petroleum-based fossil fuels for just that one trip. And just think about the amount of energy and the amount of resources being sucked up. See what I did there? But seriously, being sucked up to create these crappy things that I don't even think any of us really like to use. They fall apart. They're not effective. They last for 2 seconds. They end up in the trash. They don't get recycled. They go into the landfills. I mean, it's all a huge waste. And for what? Can you imagine what it would be like if we pivoted away from that? Now you can see the full impact a simple sponge can have on Mother Earth, and the equal impact pivoting away from that traditional throwaway version to a reusable version made out of fabrics made in the USA, whose carbon footprint in miles measured to reach you maxes out at 500. It can make a huge difference. It can make a really big impact. I mean, just think about it. If we all turned away from the old and embraced the new and made our own Unsponge out of American-made fabrics that were eco-friendly, we could be the change that needs to happen. Head to our blog to find out more facts about this eco-friendly swap. And be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification button so that you never miss a video. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, happy making.